Welcome everyone to the Coaching to Flourish podcast. I'm excited to be back. I am your host, Raj Anderson, Executive Life Coach and Coach Assessor. And I am here with John Andrew Williams, who is the founder of Coach Training EDU. It's good to see you, John. How are you?
Good, good. You too, Raj. Good to see you. It's been a couple weeks, but I know you've been in conferences and doing lots of fancy executive coaching things. But it's good to have you back and here.
It's good to be back. Yeah, I've been doing a few fancy things, but this feels like home. So it's lovely to be on this call with you, John. And I love just being part of this experience and being involved in the coaching world. And talking about coaching world, there's lots of things happening with Coach Training EDU, great workshops and things. What would you share with the people listening?
I've been so deep in the projects. I feel like it's my amazing team has been taking care of the workshops and making it happen. In my world, we've been doing the business masterminds. So finally we have those rolling. We have one this afternoon. We're doing Tuesdays. We're alternating between Tuesday, Thursday, morning, afternoon, Pacific time, uh, bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks. And those, I've been wanting to do them for a while. Finally got them on the calendar. They've been amazing. We've only done 1 week of them, so this will be the second week. Uh, those are amazing. So if you're part of the CTEDU community, the ALC community, please join us. I think there were maybe 15 people last time, expecting a similar number this week. If you're thinking about becoming a coach, you can attend one of those to see what they're like and see what you get from it too. But they're really designed for people who are students and alumni. So there's that. That's the biggest thing I have going on for me. And I know there's lots of participants in leading workshops and things like that. So in the dashboard, you'll see the upcoming events. That is now working. We got those more up to date than ever. So
Lots of incredible events.
that's all I got.
Yeah. And there's a relationship coaching class or event today as well that I saw. So please do follow Coach Training EDU on LinkedIn. Have a look at the events on the webpage. And if you're interested in coaching, reach out to Coach Training EDU. Yeah. I think we got a demo, John. Is that what we're going to be doing? Listening to a demo today?
We do have a demo. And yesterday I was someone asked for a fit check, which apparently is wanting to know where you got your clothes. And I asked my 16-year-old about it. I said, should I do this on there? She said, yeah, I should do it. So, and then this sweater I'm wearing in this in this recording is, I think, the one that they're asking about. So I believe, I'm not sure. I have to go check the tag still, but I believe it's from Banana Republic. And the other sweater, I don't know where the other one is yet. But anyway, it's in my mind. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, here, I can't believe I'm doing this.
So you're a style icon, John. People want to know
I don't
where your
know.
outfits are from.
I don't know. Yes, there were she was chuckling. She's like, really, Dad? Like, this is
That's cool. It's a cool
yeah.
style, John.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like there's a life coaching. Yeah, I mean, we could go into it. I feel like I should do a video on life coaching style. It was, yeah, I'm not going to go into it. Anyway, let's do this one. Uh, Perhaps we'll do a workshop on style, clothing style, and what it says about you, how, what you dress, don't dress. I mean, it's important. It really matters. I know that whenever we take the family to the airport, we always dress up. You just get more respect, and it's a matter of it's a matter of ease, and what you communicate to the world. I feel like coaching is interesting too, because it's like, what do you wear to, and then when you go to a conference, what do you wear at conferences? You can tell the people who are brand new to conferences because they wear uncomfortable shoes, and then you get the idea of like, how do you operate? How does this work? Anyway, this one's an old one, but we got to get it done because it's been sitting on the shelf for a bit, and it's taking a lot longer than expected to get through these because we talk a lot, and here we are talking more about this. We haven't even started this thing. So yes, this is an older one. I'll be curious because this is one I recorded before we started doing a lot of these coaching and flourish demos, like looking at the coaching. So we'll see how much it is. See how much of the older. I mean, it might not be that big of a difference, but I know when I'm recording new demos, I'm incorporating a lot of what we're talking about into the demos, and I feel like it's making my coaching stronger. Uh, these are, and again, I want to keep rolling this out there until someone just provides it. If there's a recording that you want us to look at, and you have permission from your permission and your client's permission to do it publicly, please bring it. Be happy to review it. We're happy to review it with you, even here in these podcasts too. So that invitation, I'm just going to keep rolling it out there until someone says yes. And then I imagine one or two people will say yes. And then my hope is that we have a lineup and we can look at other people's coaching as well. So I'm just going to keep doing these until that happens. And we still have a library of demos in a stack banked away. So yep, no worries.
I love that, John. Okay, so different levels would be great as well. Then just a question that I'm curious about as we start to listen, John. You said this is an older one. What is it that you want to look out for in this demo as we listen?
I'm not sure. It's been a while and I'm not remembering it completely. I'm sure once we get like 20 seconds in, I'll go, oh yeah, okay, I know where this is going. So I have not prepped this. I have not seen it. I have not looked at it. This is brand fresh review time for me on this. I'm kind of curious. One thing I have noticed is the amount of pause I leave between things. That's what I'm going to be looking out for the most on this. But other than that, I'm just going to let it roll.
Got it.
What would you say is the most interesting thing happening in your life, or the most interesting happen?
Let me re-share this so that we're also sharing audio. I'm not sure I did that little thing. Here we go. And I don't know why it's not moving. 2 to 4 weeks from now. Or longer. Oh, there we go.
I think the most interesting thing is this move, because we've been wanting, or I've been wanting to move,
Oh, I remember this session.
I think on and off for the last 2 years, but a year ago I felt quite ready for it. Like I could feel my body just wanting to do it. And I remember in last April or last June, actually, sorry, I had COVID for a few days. And when I was, I had to be at home, that's when it hit me even more that I can't do this. I can't stay in the city. Even though I loved Wanchai, I loved having a lot of food options, I loved the convenience, but I knew my body needed to be around nature for healing. So that's been the most interesting thing that's happened and will continue to happen because we're building it from scratch. It's a rental, but it was unfurnished. So we're like going and getting things and making it our own space. And I'm also going to South Africa in a few weeks.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot. What would be useful to look at in all these moves?
Sorry?
What would be a useful thing to look at with these moves?
I think for me, my cat passed away a few weeks ago, and she was just a little baby. Like she was just a year and a half, and it was just a really horrible accident. So even though this move has been exactly what I dreamt of, and I remember like last year when I was not here, I'd just keep thinking about this move and, kept getting excited about this move. And then I'd keep pulling myself back into the present moment. And I'm really happy I did that because I was able to be present while she was alive. But I think I still wake up in the morning just feeling anxious or feeling sad, because the morning and the night is when I spend my most precious times with her, because she would come and cuddle with us. So I think what's missing from this dream come true is her. And I think that's maybe something I could look at, because some moments get very difficult without her.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
John, can we just pause here one moment, because I wanted to point out that great question that you asked. What would be useful to look at? So I just want to encourage coaches that are listening to make a note of that question. Because what I hear sometimes in overviews is when a client or coachee has shared a lot, like she did, she shared a lot. I might hear new coaches trying to figure out where to go with it themselves. Whereas you remain curious and you handed it back to her. And actually, she took it somewhere that wasn't within what she'd shared originally. And that was the beauty of handing that back to her. So coaches take note in the simplicity and curiosity of that question.
Yeah, it's interesting to me too, because I feel like there's something sad. Like, where's the sadness coming from from the space? Like, you're talking about all these, like, this move, like, where are you at? Like, but it felt sad, and now we know why. Let's see, take it. I remember this session now. I'm pretty happy with this one. Like where we got to. But I mean, anytime you're doing coaching around grief, you're in it. You're in a spot where you have to be very attuned to your client's energy in an empowering way. So that's what this session is about.
What kind of what do you want to do with the sadness?
Yeah, that's it. You know what I mean? It's empowering. It doesn't minimize the sadness. It doesn't push it away. It still, all of the efficacy of what to do next is still in the client's hands. So aren't you curious where she's going to take it? I am.
I am.
Definitely want to slowly release it and make sure that I'm grieving in a way where it doesn't get stuck in my body. But also, I think she left with really clear messages, or at least messages that I felt from her. And one of the messages was that eventually, because before this, I didn't want to at all, but one of the messages was that eventually I want to be a mother. And the second message was that I want to travel more, and as part of my spiritual journey, I want to visit temples, or even if not just temples, but like explore different nature elements of different parts of the world. Because after her passing, we went to Thailand and we went to really, really gorgeous nature landmarks. And they were the ones that not just healed me, but it felt like she was present with me in every moment while I was there. So I think I want to use my sadness and that love that I got from her to implement perhaps the messages that she left. Yeah.
Where does this put you like a year from now?
So I'm slowly changing to working remotely. Like, I'm an English tutor. So even as a tutor, I'm aiming to switch my work to remote, even though it.
I mean, that's an interesting question. I don't know. I like it. I think I could have gone more like inside the room question though. Like, what's shifting? What do you even as she's talking, you can feel her energy shift around. It's not a bad question. I don't know if it's the best question. But I like it though still. It reminds me of like in chess they have different categories of moves, like a brilliancy, the best move, a book move, a good move, and inaccuracy, and then a blunder. I don't think that this is. I think it's just a good move. Is it the best move? I don't think so. But is it an inaccuracy? I think that'd be too harsh.
I like this question, John, because actually, I mean, you said what you want to do with the sadness, but where she took it was how she wants to use it, right? And she's mentioned her body a few times and the message.
That's what I wish I had gone for. Yeah, that's Yeah.
So I was kind of a bit curious about that as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't dislike this question because she is talking about lessons from it and the usefulness, and she wants to use it for something. So I could see why this question um, could land in that way for her. But I am curious about all this spiritual journey in her body and that kind of thing as well.
Yes, yes. And I
Yes.
mean, I think what I was hyper aware of too is I wanted this to showcase like how you can use what's happening in the present and then forward focus it. I
Yeah.
think that's probably, and knowing that, okay, this is recorded, we're going to be looking at this, like where are we at? But taking a step back now, I mean, it just feels so like the body, what's shifting even now and energetically. What's going to help you? What's going to help make sure that you like, or how will you know that you've completely, healed?
Mhm.
What indication is your body giving you? Even right now, what's your body saying? You know what I mean? Oh, there's just so many inside the room questions that I could ask at this point. Um, but I'm not going to be too harsh on myself on this. I still like the question.
Might mean a pretty big pay cut, but I think I'm ready. I mean, I'm not okay with it because I think it undervalues me, but I feel like I'm willing to make that cut or whatever best option they can give me to be able to be remote. And I think a year from now, I want to be able to use that remote working to travel, at least once a month over the weekends, over like for 4 or 5 days every month. And most importantly, spend a lot of time with family. So after I change to remote or after I move it to remote, I won't have any restrictions because I can just work wherever I am. I don't need to take off or, neglect my students. So I think a year from now, I want to be at a place where I've traveled a lot, I've explored in a more spiritual way, not just in a holiday sense, and spend a lot of quality time with my family, specifically my parents and my brother, who live in Pakistan right now. Just to kind of go there, um, make the most of the time that we have together. Yeah.
And what do you want to do with this session, this time?
There you go.
Mm,
It's so
I think
simple,
maybe
isn't it, Raj? I mean, it's just
ways to.
it's so simple yet profound. And it's almost like, I mean, coaching itself is a spiritual practice to stay in a space of I'm empowering the other person. Like I was even thinking it as you were pausing, right? Like what question would you ask? Wait, I don't know. I'm not. I don't know, right?
But as you say, it's that simple question, and you are trusting in her, aren't you? And
Mhm.
trusting in that whole coaching process. And I think this is a really, really good note. Once again, a coach's note, we've all done it where we attempt to overcomplicate the question, or I hear people say, oh, I want to ask the right question. But it's not about right or wrong, is it? It is how the simplest question can just land or open up the individual to share their emotions or where they're at or what they want to do with it. It was just very simple.
Right on. It's right on. There was I think the thing is it's about the listening, right? I mean, what I've been there was I overheard an interaction this morning as a parent talking about how she's using open-ended questions, yet her child is still only answering with yes or no, right? And I was thinking that, and the thought hit me. It was like, oh my goodness, it's not about the question. It's about the quality of the listening and really deeply listening to the other person from their perspective. Right now, Nasheya, like I'm very much over there. And I think this is why I'm not trying to solve anything at this moment at all. It's like zero solving, and this is why I think it's working. Um, I just wish I'd gone for this like internal, uh, how like we're, you know what I mean? I feel like that's a miss, but well, I think I get there anyway. Let's see where this goes.
And John, just to
Remind
point out,
myself of
sorry, one more thing as well. This whole listening thing, it's so evident how present you are. Once again, new coaches or what, we've all been there, this need or a feeling of how can I validate this person? How can I show them that they are being seen or heard? You're not doing anything. It's very subtle, but it's very obvious that you have empathy and that you're right there with her and that you are listening. And you are demonstrating all of that without going, oh, I'm so sorry, or yes, You haven't done any of that, and you're not attempting to take the pain away, but it's so evident that you are there with her. So I think it's very important to know, anyone that's watching this demonstration. It's very subtle, but you are clearly holding space and being empathetic.
Yeah, thank you, Raj. Wrong.
positive and her love in moments where it gets really difficult. And also, I think ways to separate myself from my husband's emotions, because we're both going in waves. Sometimes I'm okay, sometimes he's okay, and we help each other out. But I feel like when he's really low about it, it starts reminding me of the grief and makes me start feeling low. But I want to be able to separate myself from that. So yeah, I think those two things.
So you're after a way to almost like a mindset or a insight that helps you address the dips, both yourself and your husband.
There's a risk on my part. Trying to paraphrase. I know the paraphrase is uncomfortable to me. I was just listening to a coach paraphrase on one of the training sessions, and it was a new coach, and she did it very well. But I just thought, oh, it's always, I feel it almost viscerally. Like, oh, I have to re-say the words that you just said. I'd rather just stay with the questions. But I think it is an important part of the echo. Is an important part of the time model. The way she said it seems so profound. When I say it, I'm like, oh, you're just after two perspectives. Like, I don't know.
But I know when that's been done to me, in practice, and someone's doing the time model, it just gives me so much clarity because you've said it out loud and then you haven't really caught up with yourself.
Mm-hmm. It is nice. All right, let's keep it. Let's let it roll for a little bit more, couple more minutes, or maybe just 30 seconds.
Even if I'm unable to address his dips, to just separate myself from his dip, because we're not. I've already detached myself from a lot of this and enmeshed myself from a lot of things. Like we've done that for each other, but when it comes to Chungu, when he gets really low, it either makes me feel guilty that I'm not low, or it just leaves me with like a really big, reminder of her passing, and kind of like hits me all over again. I start feeling regret. So I think just to be able to separate that, not just an insight, but perhaps actual means as well, like actual 1 or 2 ways to be able to do that, to keep myself grounded, really.
Perfect. Let's do it. What does your spirit self say is the path forward?
Just holding on to that one from, I don't know, last 6 minutes.
I mean, it's funny enough, spirit, because we've been getting one of our friends.
Yeah. We should probably stop here, Raj, and then pick this one up. We'll listen to her answer and then
Yeah.
but yeah, there it is. 9 minutes later, 9 minutes in, finally.
Yeah. And I just thought that. I was just thinking that in that moment, I was like, she feels so deeply. She's so connected. And it's not just her mentioning the word spirituality. I mean, she is attempting to separate herself from her husband's emotion, not because she doesn't care, is because she feels so deeply, doesn't she? And I was like, oh, I'm really curious about this spiritual self. And then you asked the question.
Mhm. I mean, listening to her now too, I mean, other options that could take this or coach, I mean, it's one thing when you're in the coach driving seat, the world looks differently from an assessor seat or an observer seat, because the observer and assessor sees, it's like, oh, you could have done that, you could have done this, but then they're also not under the pressure of listening deeply or asking the question, right? So it's almost like 2020 hindsight. Like it was, observation is like 2020 hindsight. What I'm also seeing is that the opportunity here is to shift and to use this, use the current situation as a means of relationship coaching. Like, how do you want to use the challenge that you're in right now as a way to strengthen the relationship with your husband? That's the other big valid path that I think I could have taken as a coach. I kind of want to ask it now, like I feel like there's a whole session there too. And it's a way that's also empowering and uses the tragedy as a way of, as a way of growth. I mean, which we do as naturally as humans. I think the coaching process would accelerate that.
Yeah. And there's lots of themes around relationships and potentially her value of family showing up, because one of the things she talked about is, with the travel, and she wants to spend more time with her parents and her brother. She talks about, this wasn't just a cat, this was a member of her family. You can see the way she's feeling. She talks about a baby, now she's talking about her husband. So there is a lot around relationships here in the themes, isn't there?
Absolutely. This is amazing. I mean, this is amazing work. I feel like it's so useful for people to be able to have a sounding board like this that is their sounding board. It's not like a coach isn't like we're literally just a facilitator or a catalyst for insights. It's a sound, it's not like we're giving a lot of direction, naming, diagnosing anything. It's all up to the client. All right, let's see how she answers it, and then we'll finish it out.
He's able to not channel some energies, but he's able to communicate with some energies, and without even asking, sometimes they send a message through him, and I think it's been like 4 or 5 messages from them, and they've been the same. They're just a constant reminder that we're on the right path, and just a reminder that although a tragedy has hit and we're meant to grieve, to not let it become, our identity, and to stay positive and confident in the fact that Jungwoo's okay and we're being taken care of. So I think, yeah, those are the messages from my spirit self, because my spirit self is aware of that as well. In fact, that's been the only thing that's made this whole process easy, has been my spirituality, like a reminder that we can't stop death, and we can't predict death, and there's no right or wrong timing. But most importantly, I think my spirit self says that she's here with me, and she's always going to be here with me. And, the air that I breathe, or in the water, or in the leaves that I hear rustling. I think that's the main message from my spirit self.
Pause here.
How beautiful. And you can see the shift happening within her, within that question.
Yeah. I felt like that was the question that needed to be asked. And it's an interesting thing. I know I was holding on to it for 6 minutes. Like, I remember it's funny, like even listening to it, like that yearning I felt in minute mark 3, in real time here to ask the question at minute mark 3, but then feeling like, no, I have to use the time model because I know I'm going to be viewing this with Raj. And if I go too far down the rabbit hole, then
I wonder how many people say I better do the time model because I'm going to be reviewing it with Raj. It was beautifully done though. John.
Gosh, it's so wild. I feel like this process, my respect for the process is only increasing watching these and listening to these and getting like, being able to say this is my best work. This is what I've dedicated my life doing. And I think that this kind of work is not just going to have an impact in, this person's life, but these are the conversations that I feel like humanity as humans, if we were all trained to be able to do this, humanity, we would be better people. Humanity would be better. And from an executive level, wellness level, academic level, that's really what we're fighting for. And this is this podcast, this time is just strengthening that resolve. So here we go.
Thank you, John. Thank you for sharing that. I get so much out of listening to you, Coach. I mean, just listening to different perspectives and stepping into different worlds, isn't it? Because even if you're not spiritual yourself, whoever's listening now, or it doesn't have to be your value base. It doesn't have to be the way you connect with the world. As long as you remain curious, you can step into your client's world and ask them questions that help them shift and open up. And I just want to close this out with, I love the way you said this. As coaches, we are a facilitator or a catalyst for insights. I love that. I'm going to take that with me. Is there anything else you would add today, John, to close us out?
No, it feels really, really inspiring. I'm like, all right, I needed this too. I feel like I've been in project world all morning, and this is nice.
Thank you, John. Thank you for inspiring us. Thank you, everyone who's been listening. Send us your thoughts, your questions, your feedback. Share your own recordings, and we will see you next time.
Thanks. Thanks.
Bye.